Welcome to the George's FTTV YouTube channel. Today we discuss the practice games and my thoughts on them, and thoughts on practice games in general. I've watched some of them, not all of them, so I'll go over what I can and just make a few comments based on reports and not go too in depth of the ones I didn't watch, because obviously didn't watch them, so it should be good. We'll go over the team changes as well that I've got in front of me, so we'll go over that quickly. A few weird ones in there, but it is pre-season, so I'll try and justify them, but still want to see the dress rehearsal of the next practice games. But yeah, I've been struggling to get out content. I have been interstate for a few days or all week basically for work, and I'm supposed to go to regional Victoria for 3 weeks in every 12, but it's gonna hurt the YouTube channel too much. So I'm going to condense it down to 2 to get more content out there, because I'm not happy not doing much content as I usually do in the pre-season. So we'll work on that. And yeah, it's forced me to miss a lot of games because it's had terrible internet as well. So anyway, we'll go through these games, or we'll go through my thoughts on practice games in general. For me, practice games, the more I watch, I think the worse my starting team becomes with practice games. What changes have I made currently? I've added in Power. I've split Amon into Power and Buderick, and I turned Nick Martin into STEELE. And then I think I'm tossing up between Petrarca and Dawson at the moment. So I think everything else is mostly similar. I think I added Sexton as a rookie based on halfback. I think I've got Ware in there on the bench as well. So these picks we'll discuss at a later point. But I think still keeping Butters, Brayshaw, Crouch. I did take Crouch out briefly, but he's staying. Still got Flanders, still got Billings. Stewart, I think I put in Sheasel after David King's comments, but he's looking like a good pick. And I think still like the crux of the team is still the same, but still like a few, forward positions still up in the air and stuff like that. So still got McKercher, Sanders, M7, M8. But yeah, practice games, the more I watch, I think the worse I pick. So it might be for the best that I don't watch everything or read too much into it. But in practice games, we see like outside plays. It's more outside-ish, less pressure in these games. So these plays tend to excel. Like you look at the North boys, Sheasel 42. Although I don't doubt Sheasel, he's done it in the real stuff. But I look at Fisher racking it up at ease. You look at Bose from a few years ago. You look at Jordan Clark from a few years ago. What bucket do you put these guys in? Is it real? Is it just practice game stuff? So I'm not sure. So try not to read too much into it. But I think the what we're looking for, or for me, is we're looking at rookies who looks good, who looks like they can be best 22, what sort of role they get. And in terms of mid prices, we're looking at players that are going to play in key roles. So not so much worried about rookies. Like for example, Lazaro might get a little bit inside time. He might get played all everywhere basically. Like maybe half forward, maybe wing, maybe a little bit inside too. But could be sub, I don't know. But they seem to like him. But he's 180k. I don't care. I just need like 60, 65 from him, and that's a pass basically. So you want more, but it's still like for his price, not bad. But we're looking at just, Tom Powell and Buderick. We'll speak about these guys soon. Reviews, but I'm not 100% sure they're going to be good picks, but they're in for now because I think Buderick's going to be a key distributor of halfback for Gold Coast. There was no Will Power, but on kick-ins was looking for the ball, good signs, and earmarked for the Jaden Short role. So yeah, Dimmer's trying to look after us for SuperCoach, hopefully, with his comments on Flanders too. So it's you want 85 from him. So I think early days he was locked down when he was a 102k rookie before his bunch of ACLs. But right now the role looks good. And is there enough upside in the pick? I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's underpriced and the role's going to improve and is injury affected as well, obviously. So, and then Tom Powell, I'm looking at North CBAs and I think he's third. Taron Thomas is obviously, he's exited the AFL, and that leaves a spot, no more Cunnington, and it sounds like Simpkin they're trying to phase out of the midfield. Maybe not completely, but I don't think they see him. They've drafted all these mids, and I think they see them as the future of their CBA mids, not Simpkin. And while I think Simpkin will still get a bit of time in there, it's time for Powell, Lazaro, Phillips to take that next step. So LDU and Wardlaw 1 and 2, and they're injury prone, so there might be even more points up for grabs here. And Powell looked good in the preseason game, although I didn't watch. It's just what I read. But he's looked good in preseason games before. So there's a whole bunch of other plays, like maybe Cam McKenzie or James Jordan get decent inside mid-time. I don't know, maybe not. But that's something we'll hopefully answer. But with Will Day injury for Cam McKenzie, apparently he looked good today. But yeah, I think we'll go through. And then I've added Jack Steele as well, but yeah, he looks good, but we'll talk about that soon. But I guess the main point is I think Buderick will be a top 2 distributor down back for Gold Coast. We'll see how the dynamic works with like Sexton, Buderick, and Powell when he comes back. And then Will Powell rather, and then we'll see how Tom Powell goes and where he is in the CBA rotation. Because he was CBAs were in the 20s last year. It could triple from that. I think that's on the cards, but I don't know for sure. So yes. But anyway, we'll get into the review. So I did review Richmond versus Melbourne already. But we're gonna go straight to North versus the Pies. I didn't watch this. Didn't watch it. So yeah, I'll just be very brief. But Sheasel is gonna be hard to pass up. 42 touches and playing down back, and that's what David King said. So he's in for me for sure. Zach Fisher is interesting because he's done the 2 hammies, or the awareness plus the strain of the hammy. Played unlimited minutes. You've got Sheasel back there. You've got McKercher. You've got Fisher, but you've also got like maybe a Braden George or a Goda. Do they want to play youth in that position? They're not probably. You wouldn't say they're strong defensively. More offensively minded players back there, so you're not really experienced defenders. So when it comes to actually defending, so can they afford to, is Fisher is an injury risk and his best 22 risk in my opinion. I don't know how certain he is for that role. Look, few clangers as well, which is not unusual for him, which we saw against Carlton. So he's a no for me, but he's one I'm slightly worried about. But I just think if they've got 2 main distributors back there, then a third one surely can't kill you that bad. A lot of points to go around back there. So he's one I'll pass on for now. And yeah, no much pressure in practice game. So we'll get another look at him, but I think the injury risk is enough to scare me off. I already spoke about Powell and Lazaro. And not much else from North, I think, to discuss. I guess McKercher's a lock, we know that. And then Pies, not much here. I think Dacos was rested. Finn McRae, I've heard mixed reports on him, he was good in the first quarter but didn't see much in the second and stuff like that. I'm not sure where he fits into the best 22, and he could be a sub-risk, but they're happy with his preseason, so I don't have him at the moment, but I can make room for him if I need to. So that's on Finn McRae, and it looks like Reef played okay too, so would play maybe competing with Ash Johnson and Kruger for a spot. And I think from what I've read, Reef is ahead, but that's something we'll monitor. Not a rookie that I'm keen on, but an option there if we need it. So certainly not a field option. Sydney versus GWS. I did not watch this. I haven't watched the next 2, but I've watched the Gold Coast Brisbane. I watched 3 of 7 of the games. So Sydney versus Giants. Look, what can we take out of these games? Looks like Jordan Gordon playing wing and inside mid. So we'll see what the CBAs look like there for them, especially Jordan because he's a cheap forward. Heaney played mid. Oh boy. Apparently 50-50 mid forward. I think the buy as well, I think we just pass. And I think his best role for scoring has been that high half forward working really hard. Although I think his scoring did correlate a bit in his early days, a bit more skewed towards CBAs. But I think in his All-Australian year in 2022, he definitely looked better playing high half forward, working up and down the ground than he did at CBAs for scoring. So hopefully he's back to his best, but he's getting a bit older now and he's had so many injuries, which I think affect him. I think he plays through soreness a lot, so he needs one I'll look at maybe post-buy depending on DPPs, but is the mid-time real? I don't know. I'm not going to say no, but 50-50 split with all their mids they have, I think that's unlikely, but just one to note. For the Giants, I don't really have anything on the Giants. Jacob Ware could play wing, just around 0 watch, so if he does play, he'll be on my bench, almost certainly, but we'll see. He was a good rookie for us back. I think he played a bit of defense and wing a few years ago, and he was a good D7 for us for the covering for the rest of the year. Carlton versus Geelong, again, like the time of day to try and watch these is just impossible for your work, so it's kind of hard. But Carlton versus Geelong, I guess we'll touch on Walsh and Williams. So Williams might not even play practice match before round 0, round 1. So I'm worried that, I'm not worried, but I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't named round 1. Not because he's not best 22, but because he isn't ready yet. I feel like they're really slowly easing him in, and I'm not exactly sure how ready he is, but he has participated in a bit of match sim in training, so assume he's not far off, but just a concern that surely they give him some, like surely they would have given him some minutes. So yeah. Sam Walsh out with a back, you can't go there. I worry for his career in terms of what his peak could be. We'll definitely see a lot of Walsh, but yeah, for his back issue to flare up, that's pretty rough. Hopefully he's alright. Ollie Hollins, 1 for draft, keeper draft, could be end up inside mid. All the current reports I've said is like the number 1 standout, Ollie Hollins. So that's that. And then Geelong, so Guthrie is injured, so obviously you can't go there. Probably going to miss round 1. Probably helps Jai Clark, and I wonder if he's fieldable, if his CBAs are good, but I didn't watch him, so if you can fill me in, that'd be great. But watch him. I'll be able to watch all next week's game, so that'll be much better. Conway, I don't know if he plays round 1. I don't know if I want to fork 70k out or 80k out for him on the bench, so we'll see how that goes. But I don't have much else to say on Geelong vs Carlton, but we'll get to a game that I actually did watch, and that was Gold Coast versus Brisbane. We'll start off with Gold Coast, and there's a lot going on here. So Took, Anderson, Rao, and Flanders played mid. I think Flanders probably got the least amount of time from watching, but I haven't checked any stats or anything like that. The most impressive was Matt Rao for sure. He's trimmed down, but he's still got that. He's still strong in the contest, like still same Rao at the contest. So he just looked much more lean, and he looked really, really good. So yeah, obviously, I think trying to improve his outside game in the preseason, and he's done like speed training and stuff like that. We saw that in his first year and sort of lost a bit of that through his injuries. But Rao's interesting. I guess I would guess that Rao goes better than Took this year, if I had to guess, in terms of scoring. But I'd probably skip all 3. Took, I'm just not sure. There's just a lot of, like, you look at STEELE at the same price. Clearly M1 by a mile at the Saints in terms of CBAs, and it should be number 1 for scoring, whereas Took could be anywhere from 1 to 4. I couldn't pick it, so I think he'll get lots of CBAs, but scoring, it wouldn't surprise me if Anderson or Rao pass him, but I'm not too sure. So I wouldn't go there, but if you really wanted the spicy pod in Matt Rao, I wouldn't blame you. Sam Flanders is a lock, we know that, so skip him. Buderick we spoke about before. We'll have a look. We'll get a look in round 0, and he's more like, if I can get him up to like a different premium with money, depending on like a different mid price elsewhere, I wouldn't mind that. But right now, it kind of just fits the structure. And these defender rookies are like Zach Reed and Gibcus and stuff. Like, it's just whatever. They're key defenders. Ethan Phillips hopefully plays. He's 102k, but and Pink as well. I think Pink's played a lot of footy, whereas Gibcus has missed a lot of footy, and Reed's missed a stack of footy too. So I think Pink, I'll take over those guys. And yeah, from reports, Pink played alright. been like directing the backline and stuff like that. Phillips has played a heap of footy too, but his role is going to be far worse. But actually, we should be talking about those guys in other parts of the video. But yeah, Bitterick and Sexton. If Sexton's named round 1 at halfback, I think you just got to pick him and you just field him on a few kick-ins. Sexton was more aggressive with the ball than Butterick, so it was a bit more. Bitterick was a lot of switching and stuff like that, and 1-2s, but pushed up really high and tried to take intercepts and stuff like that. So good signs from Bitterick, and yeah, good signs from Sexton too. So he'll be hard to pass. I think his fantasy score is quite high, Sexton. So rookie price, he's in for now. I think he did butcher a few. Well, Bodie Uland played lockdown. First half played a lot on Charlie Cameron, and that was not a fair matchup. But I don't know who their lockdown is. Is it like Lemons or something? So I think Bodie, he took a nice intercept, took a few marks. I thought he was okay. I don't know if he's one that looks like he just needs a lot of exposure, and I'm not sure he's going to get that. So because of the job security issues with him, I'll pass on him for now. I just think there's other options down back where a bunch of key defenders who should be best 22, and Caulfield should be best 22 from what we're seeing. Yeah, we'll monitor that. And then moving on to Brisbane, Jared Lyons played well, but there was no Lockie Neal. Gideon Coleman racked it up, and Jimmy Tunstall was quite good. He's a cheap forward for us, a rookie price forward, so he's an interesting one. And I can't remember what role he played actually. Might have been, no, I'm not going to guess because I can't remember, but I did notice him a little bit. So one to monitor. No dev round 1, so maybe that spot's up for grabs. Next game I have here is the Bulldogs versus Hawthorn. I didn't watch this game, but Bulldogs, sounds like Sanders killed it as expected. Libba was good, and Sam Darcy might be a decent one for us, and Caulfield was good, but the teams were scattered sort of everywhere. So if you are not sure on if you plays best 22, then that's one we'll look at next game. And yeah, Bont missed the game. Hawthorn, apparently Housewaite was really good, and there's a good chance for round 1. Connor McDonald played a lot of different roles, so that's a big red flag. Was really hoping he'd get it's a practice game, just throw him in the midfield, see what he can do. It didn't happen. McKenzie was good, apparently. Watson struggled. D'Ambrosio played halfback, but there was no aim on. And Ambrosio did rack it up, so he's pretty cheap defender, 220k. Something we can monitor for next game if Amon comes back. And yeah, Amon had soreness, so Amon's been in my team for a lot of preseason, and I was listening to Selby's pod actually, and I think in the midfield he just favours the inside mids, and I think that's a much safer bet. So I've sort of switched to that route. And so moving on to Amon soreness as well, that's a flag. So yeah, we'll move on to St Kilda versus Essendon. And oh boy, reading the Essendon fan base after this game was a lot of doom and gloom, but it is a practice game. But the Saints looked good, they were moving the ball well. Actually, I only watched the 4th quarter of this, so I don't know if I can actually speak that much. So this video has been pretty shocking in terms of what I've actually watched, but it's just been difficult this week being away with virtually no internet. So who do I want to talk about first? Let's just get rid of Essendon. So Sardis is playing wing. Why wouldn't you just throw him in the midfield? I don't know. Zach Reed apparently played the first half, was promising, and Parrish apparently played okay. And Merritt popped an ankle injury, or like a minor one, so they just rested him. And Nick Martin, I've heard mixed things about Martin. He was able to rack it up. I read he looked kind of lost, but I also read that he was the main outlet at defense. I will worry about this next game. So from what I did watch in the 4th quarter, there's still like a lot of ball to go around, and there was no Ridley. So yeah, Essendon defenders last year were all a lot of sharing and stuff like that, and I guess Ridley had these hot patches, but still a lot of sharing. So Nick Martin still in contention for my team, but one to monitor, I guess. So yeah, and now let's talk about St Kilda. Philippou played a lot in the midfield, which was good. They were missing Brad Crouch though. And then trying to think of anyone else. Just STEELE. But I did watching St Kilda play. They put on a clinic. The way they move the ball, Henry, Hill, Sinclair still has to come back. Wanganeen, Millero, their outside, class and flair. It's going to be fun to watch the Saints this year, I think. And I'm a big fan of Ross Lyon, so I'm looking forward to, if the Crows don't do well, the Dogs and the Saints are my second and third team. So I hope they do well. But Jack Steele, oh no. I have to go back. He looked fit. I remember watching him for the last few preseasons, and something felt kind of off with him. Especially last preseason, something was sort of off with him. He was like, reports he was limping in training and just carried injuries throughout the whole year, and injury after injury, and played through it and stuff like that. He was moving so well, and he looked so fit, and he was covering the ground well, and had a stack of clearances. So he's in for me. And as I was saying with Took, all the Gold Coast mids, a lot of point sharing. I don't know who is going to be the main one. Is it all equal 3 for CBAs, and who's going to score the most? I don't know. Whereas Steele, no one's taking points off him, just Brad Crouch, I guess. And who else do they have in there? Like Dow and Seb Ross. I don't think they're going to have significant impact on Steele. So and then I'd love for the AFL website to reveal weights, but we don't have that. But I don't know what he scored. I saw the stats after the game, but before I even saw the stats, he just looked fit, and I didn't see that. I haven't seen him move like that for a long time. So moving freely since the final last year. So, oh geez, I don't know. He's in my team for now. I like him, and I'm a sucker for the Jack Steele pick. Last game we'll review, and I did actually watch this game for the first 3 quarters before they started resting a bunch of players. Well, 3 parts was Adelaide versus Port. Start with the Crows. Laird was okay. I didn't think he was that good. You're not going to learn anything from this game with Laird, so I just skip Laird. So Matt Crouch was good. Was impressed with his game. Outside game was okay, inside game was good. A lot of handballs and stuff, but he just looked clean, used the ball well, and he just knows how to find the ball. So Crouch is in for me. Took him out briefly, but I think he'll be a starting mid. And I think the 4th mid will be Isaac Rankin. He's looking quite good, better than Rochelle in the midfield, but I think those two will be the next 2. Maybe Saligo when he comes back, although I've heard Saligo say that he'll be mostly wing this year on radio. So Crouch got a tick, and although Crouch's time on ground was so low today, and he copped an injury where someone stepped on his hand, so maybe that was a factor, but they also tried a whole bunch of other players. They tried Pedler in the midfield, didn't really get his hands on it. They tried Berry in the midfield. Berry was disappointing. He needed to grab this chance because he was quite good last game, and then this game was disappointing from him. So hopefully he can bounce back. But yeah, Crouch definitely ahead of Berry by a bit. Jordan Dawson played a lot forward. They just kind of threw him forward for most of the second half and just did whatever. Just chilled, and they played some of the younger mids in the midfield. Even Key's got a few rotations in there, but I don't think that'll be consistent every week. So still, yeah, Key's mostly half forward, but Dawson was the best player that we had in the first game when he was on, and when in the first quarter and a bit, I thought he was our best player again. Just can do score in so many different ways, tackles, marks. It can go for those contested marks too, which is great. So Dawson's considering him for just more of an age thing as well, considering Dawson over Laird. So that's the Crows. Can't think of any rookies that we had. Dan Curtin, that's right. I think Curtin's a skip. The limited preseason, and I don't know what his role and how he fits in. I think he came on later as well. So if I'm the Crows, he's a star talent. He's had knee issues. Just ease him in the sandful. So I wouldn't be playing him key position like he did last week. Certainly not. I would just ease him in. just limited preseason, talent's there, just see how you go. And then the Port Adelaide side of things, I thought Butters was pretty good. Rosie was really good too. And Horn Francis, I think he started slow, but the second quarter really got going. Impressed with him a lot. When Dawson went out of the midfield, Horn Francis, Butters, Rosie really got on top. And just, they're just so quick with their feet and young and full of zip and energy. And when they got on top, it was a scary sight, to be honest, because that midfield should be the highest midfield ceiling in the game. So they're starting three. So yeah, when these guys hit mid-20s, like, oh my God, they're going to be nuts. And I think, yeah, Butters and Rosie probably, 23, 24, so not far, just about there. So that's a very exciting trio. Wasn't impressed with Wines at all. A lot of CBAs, but maybe it was just because the other three looked so much better on the eye. And if you needed to see something from Wines, probably left disappointed. If you kind of were just like half interested, we're not interested now. It's an interesting one because he had 58% CBAs last year, and I guess the excuse was he played through injury. So yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to get from Wines. I don't know if he's washed. I don't know if it's just a practice game, so had a better preseason this time than last year, so that's that. But yeah, just not sure. And some plays you want to see something, you didn't really see much. So it just looked a lot slower than the others out there. So he's a pass for me. And then who else from Port? Can't remember if Burgon played. I honestly didn't pay much attention to Port. I paid more attention to the Crows. There's one player I missed, Riley Bonner for St Kilda, former Port player. Apparently he racked it up with no Sinclair. So that's just one I'd add. But I think that's it from me. I'll be honest, I am struggling to stay awake and forcing myself to do videos and do a bit of work for Discord leagues at the moment. So I'm going to get like a 10-12 hour sleep tonight, I think, and be refreshed and ready to go. And we'll watch the Rio West Coast game, see how that goes. So that's all from me. It's 19 days or 20 days as the timer says here till round one, so there's not much time. And hopefully you're mostly set on your premiums, and you just, I don't know, should we be adding mid prices like Bedrick and Power? I think that's a bit risky, but last year, excuse me, I stuffed up premiums in Ridley and Doherty, and stuffing up primos is quite bad, because if you're stuffing up a mid pricer, then they're probably not going to lose much cash, and you can just move off them or like focus on other areas of the team. Whereas if you stuff up premiums, you might have taken risk elsewhere with, maybe Mr. Rookie, or you've got mid prices in your team, and if you don't want to spend time correcting your premiums, you want to spend time correcting the other side of the team for the most part, because it can get a little bit messy. Like trying to get Doherty to Dawson, upgrading a primo, what I thought was a primo to a primo, was brutal. Using 2 trades when I could have been correcting was absolutely terrible. So I guess you want to nail the premiums. So I think I'm confident in all these premiums. I think Steele was the M1. I think the worst case he underperforms a bit, and surely he can't go too bad. I think Crouch is starting mid, so I'm reasonably confident in that. Stewart, Sheasel, Young, I'd be surprised if any of these went bad, and I think they'll be the most popular 3 from what I'm seeing, plus Dacos as well. Gorn, Grundy, everyone's doing, and I've got Flanders here, which everyone has. So Power and Buderick, not 100% confident in, and we'll see how. I forgot to mention Matt Roberts too. Apparently he played well, but had a few clangers. So I'm missing a few. And Darcy Wilson I've missed a whole bunch. Missed Manor. I've missed so many plays. I'm half asleep, but these are plays we'll get a good look at. Just quickly, Wilson looks pretty good, half forward. And Manor, I think, came on late, but looked good. And I hope he's best 22, because he's a sneaky one with that. If you bench him, he could go big. And you don't want that. You don't want to get Errol Gordon to, like me, have a 140 on the bench in round 1. Or Nick Martin have I think he was like 100 or much higher fantasy score on the bench round 1. So it can happen, but I probably build him over Lazaro. Giant Stadium, I think that's a tough matchup. So probably for round 1, We don't even know who's named yet, but I'd probably do this if Mana's named on field and something like that. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and yeah, do apologize the quality of my content this season compared to some others. Like, look at the research JD's doing, look at the research DR's doing, and then me is just fucking, excuse my language, just winging it at the moment. So I need a big couple weeks and get prepped for the season. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.